Good morning. This is Dana Michelle. I'm the executive producer of the Moncrief Springs documentary, and I am bringing you our weekly podcast this morning to talk about neighborhood preservation and how we can protect and preserve Black communities. And I'm really excited about today's conversation because I think today is going to be our first female guest, and she's someone that I've been admiring from afar. And so I'm personally really excited to introduce her to you all and get to talk to her for myself one-on-one. And so I'll be bringing her to the stage in just a moment, but I do want to give a shout out to our sponsors today. I want to give a huge thank you to Black Films Matter. Trey Ford and Aaron Day have been supporting our project from day one, and they have been providing all the support administratively and helping us promote on social. And so I do want to thank Black Films Matter. And if you're interested in having film programming in your city, Black Films Matter is the choice for you. I also want to give a shout out to the ABC Travel Green Book creator, my sister and friend, Martinique Lewis. ABC Travel Green Book is an app that you can use anywhere you travel across the world to find Black businesses. And so whether you're looking for dining, shopping, or anything fun while you're on vacation, the Black Travel Green Book app is your choice to find all the Black businesses across the diaspora. And so before we get started with our conversation today, I want you to hear from our sponsors. Take a look.
What's going on, everybody? My name is Trey Ford.
And I'm Aaron Day, and we are the co-founders of Black Films Matter. We started Black Films Matter in 2018 with what was supposed to be a small private screening for Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, but it immediately exploded into something way larger than we could imagine, which was the birth of Black Films Matter.
So we took it from Black Panther to a blaxploitation series, which are those films that came about in the 70s when people of color didn't have a lot of opportunity in the industry. Then we brought the brand to Jacksonville with Queen and Slim private screening, the Photograph private screening, and most recently, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom to commemorate Chadwick Boseman's last film with a rooftop cocktail party and private screening there as well. So
we create dynamic film experiences for people of color. Whether it is a private screening or a drive-in movie, we want to bring it to a city near you.
So our end game is to be the pioneers of the rebirth of Dreamland Theater, which was destroyed almost 100 years ago in the Tulsa race riots in a place that was nicknamed Black Wall Street. And so follow us on Instagram, follow us on Facebook. On Instagram, it's Black Films Matter, spelled exactly like that. And on Facebook, it's BLK Films Matter.
As an avid Black traveler, from the moment I arrive in any destination, I want to know where the Black communities and Black-owned businesses are. And for the first time ever, there's an app for that. The ABC Travel Green Book app is the smartest way for travelers to connect with the African diaspora globally. The ABC Travel Green Book app allows you to find Black-owned businesses through filters and keyword searches. This app houses everything in one place so you can search without the hassle. Don't see a business in the app? No worries. The Recommend a Business feature is there to help us stay up to date so that everyone wins. Traveling solo but still want to connect with people and places that celebrate you? No problem. At your discretion, you can set your profile to available and meet with others in your area. Not only can you identify Black-owned businesses and set your own itinerary, you can review them too. When it comes to Black history and important landmarks, no worry, we got you. The app helps identify what the museums and media doesn't. It tells our stories. This app will revolutionize the way we travel. This app is the one we've all been waiting for. With everything at our fingertips, connect with the African diaspora today. The ABC Travel Green Book app is available now.
So here we are with Gina Franco. There we are.
Hello. Good morning.
Welcome to our show. Thank you for being with me today, and thank you for saying yes to the interview.
Absolutely. We've been, kind of corresponding over the years. So,
yes. That's what I was trying to say. I think maybe 2018, 2019 was when I first reached out to you. And in my past life, when I was a producer for Channel 4 here in Jacksonville, I came to the awareness that you were working on a mural here on
Mhm.
Soutel at Mr. K's barbecue. For those of us that live in Jacksonville, we know about Mr. K's.
Yeah.
And I learned about you doing that mural, which is called Dream Big, and that was kind of like the thing that brought us together.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to talk to you more about that particular project, but just give people an introduction of who you are and what you do and what you've been doing since that project here in Jacksonville.
Yes. So that was, we are in 2024 now, so does not seem like it was that long ago, but that was kind of when I was first kind of getting started doing the public art. I was actually still teaching at the time when I came across that project, because I can remember I was kind of sneaking, doing paperwork for that project while I was also at work, and kind of like, but really I was kind of getting the urge to put my art out there in the public more. So I came across on a website that kind of has mural projects. People can post their mural projects on there, and artists can apply to it.
Yeah.
So I came across that one, and I was like really intimidated because I hadn't really done many projects yet. So I was just like, oh, you know what, you never know.
So that was kind of like a start for you. That was
But that
like
was
the
definitely like
beginning.
and definitely the first time I had traveled for work outside of my city. And that's really where I just realized, like, you know what? I mean, after that project, which I'm skipping on some things, I'll go back. But yeah, after that project was like, okay, yeah, this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
And then, being able to travel and, activate new communities, other than my own, it's like, I just wanted to keep doing that and keep going.
And I
And
think that's a good way to like introduce the connection you have between
Mhm,
our city and the work that you've been doing all over the East Coast. Because
mhm,
in this conversation, for those of y'all that are joining us, we're talking about neighborhood preservation and how art and activism can help protect and preserve Black communities. And so while Gina is not a native, she is an ally to Jacksonville because she helped contribute to the beautification of a wonderful neighborhood
mhm,
and community right here in Jacksonville's North Side. So when you talked about public art,
mhm.
there is a movement in our city here in Jacksonville to use art to revitalize neighborhoods. And what has that looked like for you as an artist to get asked to contribute to projects like that?
I mean, like, it's so hard to explain, but like, I think when I first kind of set out, I didn't really think about like the impact or like, you know, things like that. But like once I did one, and however small it was, you know, it just like I saw the impact that I had.
Yeah,
I was able to like really see the impact, like, yeah, even if it was like just a little bit, it was like, wow, I can, by doing this, something I already love and enjoy, I can, make an impact. And with that community, I mean, I was just overwhelmed with, the people that came out and like supported me every day. I mean, some of the same people would come by every day, looking good, but it was also just this continuous of like new people, and
right.
some of these people were coming outside of their own communities and coming into this one, and you start to see, oh wow, this, by being here and activating this area or this building, not only do you have community pride, the people that live in the neighborhood, but then you have people that are, coming outside of their own communities to come check it out.
Right.
And it was just like this, and it was all, to me, it's so simple. It's like, this
And I
is it.
agree with that. The community pride is really, I think, what that mural symbolizes. Because
Mhm.
when you feel like your neighborhood looks good, you feel good. Just like, we're just, as women, we put on a little makeup, we get our cute
Right.
outfit. When you look good, you feel good. And that's the same for our neighborhoods. And for those of you that live on the North Side, y'all may be familiar with Mr. K's building, and it's right there at 4906 Soutel Drive. So when you're driving down Soutel, just look to the right and you'll
Mhm.
be able to see this beautiful mural, this beautiful artwork that she did. Now tell us a little bit about, how you designed it. Like, how did the inspiration for that particular work come about? Because it's a
Um,
pretty little black girl. I'm trying to get the picture up so people can
oh
see.
yeah,
What
and
was
that's
the inspiration
and
behind
that's
the design?
and her name is Chloe.
Okay.
She's a friend of mine's daughter. But yeah, there wasn't much in the original call for artists. It definitely it was a little vague as far as like, we want to activate this area, we want, have a sense of community, sense, community pride. But it was kind of left up to me to kind of develop like what was that vision going to look like. And it's usually, it's kind of challenging sometimes when you're not from that community, or at this point I hadn't spent any time there. So I usually, with most projects, I take a little time to do research, do what I can from this end. But the coordinator, and she's with Renewed Community Initiative, I want to say, hopefully I
Uh-huh.
didn't mess that up. She was able, I was able, she was able to give me a lot of information, and, we kind of
Tracy
collaborated.
Thornton.
Yes, that's her.
Tracy
Uh,
Thornton.
Tracy Thornton. And she was very helpful, and like, we kind of collaborated. There was some back and forth, and, I knew that at that point, like I was already kind of I use a lot of color in my murals. I knew I wanted it to be bright and eye-catching, but it never didn't make sense for me, to use, I wanted to represent the community. I wanted to, had I been able to, spend time there, I would have, maybe used a child from the area. I think that would have been even more impactful. But, and it was a quick turnaround too. It was like I think it was like a month. I think we had to kind of come up with a design, but yeah, it was a lot of back and forth. But I knew, we wanted it to be inspiring. We wanted it to be kind of targeted to the youth. Because there was a school that's like right across the street from there, a diagonal there. And then, like, so the kids would have to pass this building every day. So we knew, I knew that I wanted to, that was like what my reach, I really wanted them to see this every day.
Yeah.
So
It makes me feel inspired too. And I think for anybody in that community, whether they're a child or an adult,
Mhm,
seeing that imagery just makes you
mhm.
feel good about yourself. And I remember when we did the article, I guess it was 5 years ago now, you said that it took 4 days for you to complete.
Yes.
And so
So,
I imagine, like, when you were working out there, having people come and like,
oh
what
yeah,
is my girl doing over here?
oh yeah, and you get like it is very all part of it. Like you are in the elements. You're exposed. I guess sometimes being a woman sometimes I've been in painting at night. And we have these things that we have to worry about. But at the end of the day, you just have to put it all aside because you know you have to be out there, and that is the point. You're talking to the community members. You're answering the questions. You're to it's all part of it. But I actually love that. So like I like when I'm doing a mural inside somewhere, like nobody sees me, it's always kind of like you don't get that same the privilege to actually talk to people in the community in person. And then they get to see the process, which
Right.
is very interesting and really cool, to watch, and then, I got a lot of comments that was like, oh, I'm so glad they finally did some of this building and it looks so good. And we need one down here. And my cousin has a store. You need to go do one over there too.
Well,
It was
that
just
was gonna be my conversation too, because I'm like, when we
yeah.
bringing Gina back for more? And,
Hey,
and
I always come back.
And since that time, our current mayor, Donna Deegan, has
Mhm.
established a arts and culture committee. And
Oh,
it's
okay.
a group of individuals who are advisors to the mayor about how to use art to help our city grow, to revitalize underserved communities, and also to help give artists validity as business owners and entrepreneurs so that they can get paid for the work that they do. And I'm thinking about you, as you're telling your origin story, and
Yes.
this particular mural, the Dream Big mural, being one of your first public art projects, what has it been like for you to go from, as you said, teaching at the time to now doing public art pieces full time and using it as a way to help beautify neighborhoods?
It is, what is the word? I mean, I would say it definitely has had, the ups and the downs, the highs, the lows. There's definitely more times of the year that I'm a lot more busy, which always is my comfort zone. And then there's been times, and then we in the middle of all this, we did have a pandemic. So that was, what that was.
Shout out to all the artists who survived the pandemic.
You know what? I was rolling. I was ripping and rolling during the pandemic. It was what I need. It was, for me, it was right on time, like where I was, and like realizing like what kind of projects that I'm attracted to and stuff. And it was just, I felt so much, need to keep it, like, and then the messaging and the, all the inspiration that came from that, and like realizing what I could do in my little community or in somebody else, even if it's a little part, but like.
Did you feel like the pandemic changed what inspired you at all? Did you feel like,
definitely,
as an artist, there's Gina before the pandemic and Gina after the pandemic?
Gina before the pandemic was just kind of like, I don't really know what I'm doing. But, and then, there were times where, I will say from the beginning, I try to have a balance. I would do these projects for like, nonprofits and schools. And then I would be able to do one that was maybe more for income, that wasn't as, meaningful or purposeful, but, I could support myself, make a living and stuff like that. So I kind of started off, it was kind of a trade, I would do that. And then I would do one for like a traditional business that wasn't really, I don't really know how to explain it, but yeah, I would always kind of just try to find a balance. But yeah, in the beginning, when I left the teaching, I was like, there was a time there I was maybe more inspired by money,
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I'm not gonna here make all this money.
But listen, being an artist myself, that's what inspires us to want to create more when we feel like there will be some reward.
Right. And like, I remember wanting to be famous.
Yeah.
Well, no, so there was, I would struggle with that a little bit too, because like I felt like I had like two sides. And because like when I would do the work for just the money, like a logo or, a commission painting of somebody's pet or something, or these kind of, things, it wouldn't give me that.
Listen, I'm gonna start getting comments when people say, "Can she do a painting for my book?"
And I did, and that's when I started off, I was doing it all. I would do, like logos and like whatever you want, I will do it. And no, I didn't have that same, it didn't give me the same satisfaction as, these other projects that were, community involved and, where I was taking a, underused area of or a building that was condemned or something and turning it into a selfie wall or something, like those were the, where I could actually see the impact were the ones that, meant the most to me. And so, yeah, I think I spent, some time kind of juggling that and not really knowing what my voice was. And then with the commission stuff, you're usually like, we want you to do this. They'll tell you what, you're not really using any, your own, like, what is it that you want to do? It's like, we want this logo on the side of the building in this color. And we wanted to look exactly like that, so there were those jobs and they just did, like I would always be left feeling a little, like,
because I always
so purpose.
I always quote like what Erykah Badu say, as artists, we sensitive about our shit, so we don't want people always criticizing and nitpicking every little thing, right?
Exactly. And it's like not having I want to, at the end of the day, like purpose, like what is my like I want to have a purpose. I want to have I like, I love that when people drive by and they beep and they, love it, like, and then you have, even the ones that don't like it and voice that is okay too. It's all valid,
It creates a reaction either way. People
Either
gonna
way,
talk about it,
y'all
love or
talking
hate.
about it, y'all coming over here. You might go in there and get some food while you're over here looking at the mural.
Right.
Or I think I had one lady was like, "Oh, I didn't even know this was here," or what's
Like
this?
little hidden gems, like little surprises. And that's why
Yeah.
I really wanted to bring you on to talk
Mhm.
about your work as it relates to neighborhood preservation, because the film that I'm working on, Moncrief Springs, is
Mhm.
a story that explains how tourism in urban areas helps preserve Black history.
Yeah.
And in Jacksonville, Mr. K's is a Black business that has been around for years and is not active right now. But your mural kind of make place of memory for us, because I grew up eating shrimp dinners on a Friday night at Mr. K's restaurant, and
Yeah.
it was kind of like the neighborhood hangout. And so even though the business is not active there anymore, your mural really gives us an anchor for those
Mhm.
memories. And I'm also thinking about, how artists, and I know you're from out of town coming to Jacksonville doing this piece,
Mhm.
but there's a lot of artists who are from Jacksonville and have work and are trying to find ways to do like what you did,
Yes.
do art for a purpose and make a message that is significant and meaningful and universal to people
Mhm.
living in the area, as a way to connect. And so do you have like maybe any advice? Because like I said, Jacksonville
Mhm.
is slowly getting there where we're using art in our city to revitalize communities. A lot of other towns like Atlanta and
Oh,
Tampa and
yeah. They got
other places, they're far, far ahead of us. But I really give credit to our mayor for seeing this as a really important initiative in developing the arts and culture.
Yeah, and I would say that I felt like I've kind of watched it become, because I can remember that, the 2008, even 2017, 2018, there wasn't a lot. It seems like definitely like in the past like 3, 5 years, it's just I feel like people are finally catching on. Like they're like, oh wow, things like murals and um, you know, uh dancing and poetry and all these art related things like are making an impact or can actually it's like to me I always was like it's so simple, like why is not why is not everybody doing this,
Agreed.
but like when it like in community engagement, economic development, like it literally like if you look at the bigger cities, if you have to,
Yeah.
Miami, like Wynwood and Atlanta, Charlotte is doing they literally do so much.
Yeah. And
Every
so
time.
how does that look for you, like, after you finish your project
Mhm.
and years go by? How do you stay connected to it? Or is it like, I did that and now it lives on its own, or does it still live with you? How do
It
you stay
still lives
connected?
in me, there are some that don't live with me, forever, and not that because they don't, but they might have been there. I just don't feel as connected to it. That one will always be my baby because that was really the first, the big one of the bigger ones that I've done. The first time I really did a person or like a figure, which was like a really big scary thing for me to do because when you paint people, it's just like that's a very big responsibility. So I had to get over like a lot of fears for that one also. The height of it, I had to get on ladders, out of my comfort zone. I was in a new place, new city, didn't know anybody, so there were just so many things I had to kind of
Yeah,
overcome.
that makes it even the more significant for me
Mhm.
hearing you
It
say
was
that.
a lot of
It's like
first times, and then I did
first you.
a public speaking engagement, at the library right there.
Mhm.
First time I had done that, so it was just like, a lot of big first for me.
So this one definitely lives with you.
So that one is one oh yeah, it's definitely one of the ones I still bring up, and I use that a lot of times. That's one of the projects I use in my when I'm applying for other projects.
Yeah.
When they ask for like examples of work, so something that I would say a project that like kind of identifies like what I guess I'm capable of, but also like what interests me as an artist, what kind of things.
So I want to also use you as an
Mm.
example, if I can, for other artists, because my goal is to amplify Black neighborhoods and to make myself a connector for people who want these beautiful historic Black communities to grow.
Mhm.
And I love the idea of artists being champions for these communities, because art is universal, whether it's music, whether it's paintings, whether it's dance, it brings
Mhm.
people together. And like I said, it makes my heart so happy knowing that you offered this to our neighborhood.
Mhm.
What is the process like as an artist if you say, hey, I have an idea, I would love to do work and make a mural in this area? What is that process like for you? How did you go from concept to actually finding someone to commission you, or what's that like?
And that is a great question. And I tell people that like the first 5 murals I did were free. I did not get paid. And I'm not, not everybody has to go that route. There's probably, there's other ways, but a lot of these organizations that put out the calls for arts, they generally want, they'll say, can you send us 5 images of your previous work? Right. Just like if you're applying for a job, they're like, what's your experience? And kind of realized I didn't have any. I spent like 6 months and I did 5 murals in 6 months and I've just volunteered, I called schools. I was working at a school, so I was able to do one of those there. I got another school to let me come in and do a mural. And then the rest was like literally knocking on doors of local businesses and asking them if I could do a mural, that I was, an artist. I was trying to, get my feet wet, So yeah, the first 5 that I didn't even get paid for. But it also helped me feel a little bit more confident when I was, continue to go out there. And so from there it was, kind of the one there in Jacksonville was one of the first, like, I guess, commission murals, outside of Greensboro. And when I submitted to them, I mean, I don't even know what the application looks like now. Like I think about it, I'm like, who knows? Because I didn't know anything, I didn't know even how to do anything. I was just like, here's some murals I've done. And, but it worked. And it was, they saw the potential and,
Yeah.
they gave me a chance and I think that that's the biggest thing is like I think that you would think if you just offered somebody a free mural, like if I asked somebody for a free mural now, they'd be like, heck yeah, because they
Yeah.
know my track record, right? But you'd be surprised how many people are like scared. Like,
Yeah. But I think that speaks to, you're speaking from the perspective of the artist, but also the person who would commission you. Sometimes y'all just have to give these artists a chance.
they really do.
And
And
like
then
you
also
said,
like, and that's why I
one
tell
of your first ones.
the artists that ask me now, like I have people that will DM me like, hey, how do you get jobs? And because there is definitely, there's information out there, but it took me years to find it, so anytime that I can be like, yeah, this and that, but I always tell people to start at the schools because the schools are broke. They don't have any money for this, but they want the color, they want the art, they love.
Jacksonville, are you listening? Artists in Jacksonville, are you listening?
Go
Start
to
with
the
schools.
schools.
We're having like this really big thing in our city right now with our public schools, and a lot of them need TLC, and in addition to the students need something that gives them a sense of pride.
They do,
And
and
so
I think that
I
most
know
schools,
that'd be a great idea.
most schools are kind of like, oh, well, we don't have any money for that, or like, they have all these other priorities, right? Like they have to keep the air conditioner on, and so that usually gets kind of like, sometimes you get teachers that will volunteer to do murals like myself, but you don't always have that, and I think that that's just the best way to start, and not because you want to make a bunch of money, because it's not, it's probably not going to happen, but for like the experience, to build your confidence, to kind of
Yeah.
figure out what your voice is. But it's, they have nothing but walls. You are making
it could be a project for a school, nothing but walls. And
because they do, and they have a lot of walls, and like big old walls too, gymnasiums and cafeterias, and it's just an excess of walls. So I always kind of start there, and then your nonprofits, the one project that I was another one during the pandemic that really that kind of took off and never expected was a project I started called it was called Rotating Wall Project, and this was an abandoned building, like the grass was overgrown, it was like just nothing. So I approached the property owner, like tracked down who that was, and kind of threw an idea out there. I was like, I want to, because I had a lot of ideas also, and I wanted to have it like build my portfolio. I wanted to so I was like, okay, I'll do one mural every month for a year. That's 12 murals. That's a nice portfolio. So I approached him about the idea, and I was like, I'm going to change it every month. Not really thinking about like the public impact necessarily when I was first brainstorming this idea. Like I knew I wanted people to come and like look at it and take pictures and stuff, but like I couldn't even think about that yet. I was like, let me get permission first. And so I started it before, I want to say it was a couple months right before the pandemic, and then it just really took off during the pandemic. But yeah, and he was like, sure. Like he didn't care, right? It's the abandoned building. It looked gross, and like there was broken bottles everywhere and stuff like that. So I had some people help me clean up the grass area, because I was like, I don't want anybody getting cut.
Yeah.
Coming to see this. So I did.
That's a great way to bring the community together too. Because like if you
we have nothing, and that's the thing about this
contribute.
Yeah, everybody keeps building these new buildings, and like for artists, like we like the warehouses, the condemned buildings, the dilapidated, just those are for as far as like creative spaces like studios, which is always a shortage of affordable art studios. I'm even dealing with that here in Greensboro. But then we have all these like abandoned buildings or like empty storefronts, these eyesores, community eyesores that they could have a purpose. And it's like match that with the artists that are looking for these spaces and opportunities. And I'm just like, hello, like that's it. And then problem solved. But but that project was like crazy. It like literally took off. I did the first mural, and like so many people, like I put it on my Instagram and like whatever. But by the time I did the third one, it was like literally like a destination. Everybody, like if you hadn't gone there yet, like they were like, I can't believe you haven't went to the rotating wall, or I don't know what people were calling it. The selfie. I think they're calling it the selfie wall, which is fine. I didn't care what they called it. But I was on the news like every other month. They were featuring it on the news. It like, and I was like, wow, look at this, this crappy building that was, going to be torn down or whatever. I don't know. With overgrown grass and cigarette butts and beer bottles and stuff like that. Now it's like, and I'm pretty sure the landlord had like people coming to cut the grass after this started. Like, even he had a stake in it. Even he was like, oh, well, maybe I should keep up this property. Wow, look at all these people.
And so that's another thing too. It makes the property owner have accountability as well. So I feel like, out of that story you just told, if I had any advice or wisdom to give to artists listening to this, take the initiative. Like ask,
and they're not gonna find you. And that I used to have, when I thought about artists before I started doing my own, I would picture an artist like in a studio somewhere, like Picasso or somebody, and he's just painting his little thing, and but we have so many tools now, like social media, and like we don't have to be hiding in the studio and people just stumble across us. Hopefully, like we have to be loud, and we have to put ourselves in front of people. Like they can't miss you if you're like literally in the middle of the street painting something, or put a canvas, ask a business owner if you can sit outside their coffee shop and paint, or whatever. You just have to, you just have to be visible.
Yeah, and use your voice.
And
Definitely
use your voice, even if you don't know what that voice is going to be yet. Like, that's another thing. Like, don't wait to like, well, I don't, it's okay. Like, I don't either. I'm going to change. I'll probably have a couple other life that'll come, like, or
right. It's almost like being born again. Every time you do something,
and
you get born again.
Yeah, and use what's what's going on currently. Use that. Like, use that as your fuel. Like, what are the issues? What bothers you? What do you want people, just talk to yourself all the time. I talk to myself all the time. And like, I have to ask myself questions like, what the hell is going on?
And that's how you get it out. That's how
you. And then I tell people it's an exorcism, like, because I and like by the time I'm done a mural, I have worked that out. For the passion projects, there, like I said, there are a few where I'm just like, okay, thank you, get some money, but I do try to have a balance. But like, it is an exorcism, and but put yourself, like, literally put yourself out there. Like, I don't care, just be.
I think that's inspiring for people to know that even you with so much work under your belt, that is, like you said, an exorcism every time you get one out, and then like a rebirth comes, and then you look at the world around you, have some more experiences, and then you birth something new. It's another one. And as we've been talking about this, I want to make sure I had a photo that I could share behind the scenes. So I'm gonna add this to the stage so that people can see. This is you in action working on the Dream Big mural.
And you couldn't even tell how scared I was on that ladder.
No, girl, you look brave. And
I had to buy that ladder because I remember her telling me, this was before I even knew about like scaffolding and other safer alternatives. Well, I will say that she did the best job she could raising funds for this, but the budget barely covered me getting there and lodging. So there wasn't, usually if you have a bigger budget, you're going to use like a lift or something, but we didn't have that option. So I was like, I had to go buy this, like, I think that wall height was like 18 or 19 or something. So I found like the biggest ladder I could find was like 16. So that's probably like about where I am. But anyway, I had to get over
some more to stretch because that's not even the top.
Yeah, I had to. Yeah, it extends out. And I want to say, But anyway, so I remember like.
And at the time, this was the biggest one you had done up to this point?
I want to say 2000. I mean, I think I've done some that were, I don't know, because I feel like I had to buy that ladder specifically for that, and I had to get over my fear of.
And I think this is like another note for artists that, if the budget is not there, but you're passionate about it, you believe in it, and it's really going to enhance. I mean, and if I could say so, after I talked to you again back in 2018, and I pitched it to my producer, and I said, hey, this woman came from out of town, she's doing this mural, it's on the north side, it's a beautification project, like everybody was on it. Like, we put it on the air that particular night, and we got a lot of engagement from this story. And I think, like you said, it gave everybody a sense of pride, and it gives people hope when you think about these neighborhoods that, often have poverty, often have crime. We know in Jacksonville, this is one of the zip codes that's designated as a food desert. So when you have a community that suffers from a lot of these issues, having something that gives them a sense of pride makes the difference. It really changes.
And I felt that. I felt that big there. I really did. It was like by the time I left there, I was so full of just, like. I hadn't done anything at that point to realize like what the impact that I could have. That was like the true, like, oh wow, you
Yeah.
know, and then
And so
just
have you found like Jacksonville obviously isn't the only city that,
Mhm.
experiences these things when we're talking about public art and how
Yeah.
art can be a tool to revitalize neighborhoods. Have
Mhm.
you seen positive responses in other cities, other communities like this where you've done work?
Yes. And well, first I would say like I've noticed just I'm coming across a lot more projects now that are exactly what this was trying to do. And she was a very small independent nonprofit, was trying to raise her own funds. And now there seems to be like this, like people are kind of catching on. So I've done a few community-based projects that were in neighborhoods that were, people, I can't even think of an example. Where they would be like, oh, I wouldn't have never came over here, like I don't go, but now there's like murals there now, and then now and then now businesses are moving in,
Well, we get that a lot in
and
Jacksonville.
then now it's a trendy,
North side,
a trendy
and we get
neighborhood.
people to do that. They'll have that. Well, nothing good is on the north side. There's nothing to do
Oh
on
yeah, and I feel
the
like
north
the
side.
past,
When you see that mural,
it's like that's the first thing you see, right? And then you start seeing the little,
right?
then they're gonna get a brewery, and then they're gonna get a this and
And I told people, I say, watch how community changes.
it does.
Watch
I've watched it unfold, and then Charlotte is another one because I lived in Charlotte when I was young, and there were neighborhoods like you were like not going over there, but now those are those are and it's just like shocking to see the transformation. But like the one key thing that they have is the murals.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying.
And
That
galleries
people
and
to
stuff.
watch. If you watch these communities change, first there's art, then people start moving in, then businesses start coming, and there's a restaurant or a coffee shop or something like that. And usually the artist is always first. You always see the art come to the community first, and then people start adding value to these neighborhoods that have been neglected for all this time.
And you would think that that there should be no question like the funding should go to that. Like if you're a city manager or you're delegating all your funds and everything, like you would like that should be where all the money goes.
It should be a no-brainer.
It should be a no-brainer.
And having artists like you talk about it from this perspective is important too, because the way people assign value to things, like if there's people living there, that's good enough.
Yeah.
But people want to invest in particularly in Jacksonville, and I say this all the time, and I have no shame in saying it. When we talk about Jacksonville, we want to bring people here to really experience the city. We bring them downtown and to the beaches, as if no other community has anything significant to see or do. But the North Side has some of the oldest neighborhoods in the city, like Moncrief Springs, like Durkeeville. They're all a part of the urban core now. But a lot of these neighborhoods are where the cities were pioneered and industries were started. And in Jacksonville, the train railroads caused a lot of industry. And so when people forget the histories and forget the people and forget, what the culture was like in the past, they really can't appreciate it in the present. You have to have and I strongly believe this, you have to have the artists to make people remember. You have to have artists who will, say the name and speak to the times of what really makes these neighborhoods special.
Yeah. I mean, and I agree with that. I mean, because there's one thing to, to just talk about it, with words or whatever, but like you said, art is, I mean, transcends across, it is the one neutral thing that everybody can understand. Like you don't have to, no matter your language or, cultural background or, it is that one thing that will connect us all. And like using that as the voice to get the, to, like I said, the history, preserving history. And I do, like I said, I feel like a lot of organizations are catching on. Like a lot of the calls that I come across now are, they want to reference the history of the site, you know, in some way.
And they got money this time, right? They calling with money.
They got money coming out here now. I'm like,
good girl, secure the bag. Secure the bag. There's this local movement here in Jacksonville, and I'm gonna shout out Larry Love. And every time I see Larry, he has this hat that says support local artists. But I'm gonna get my own hat, and it's gonna say pay local artists.
Yes. Yes. And like I said, because I don't mind, you know, I had to do what I had to do to get to where I am. You know,
and I'm proud of you. I'm very proud of you.
I am so okay. Like, I am so glad that I got over myself and was like, you won't have to work for free for a little bit, because you can't just go doodle on the wall and not know what you're doing. Because I did, you know, I was just like, I'm gonna be in, you know, like, it's enough to, like, I made a decision to do it, but I wasn't like, you know, my first mural was in a library, and it is not cute.
But hey, it was a part of the process. And
but
I've been following you since 2018 when we did this article with News for Jax. And I'm proud of you, girl. And I've seen the work, and that actually is like a perfect segue as we get ready to wrap up. I wanted you to tell people what you're doing now. I was doing a little bit of research, but I saw that you have a catch and release project.
Yes, I did. I don't do a lot of I don't do a lot of personal kind of work on canvas. You know, because I prefer to be like big walls, and I like the public interaction and stuff like that. So I did. I was approached to do a solo show at it's an Airbnb art hotel kind of place. It's so cool. It's in Winston. So I did a solo show, which basically means I activated all the space inside the Airbnb, the walls. And so I, you know, worked on that for a few months and did like 10 paintings, I think it was altogether. So that will be coming down actually next week. But that was, you know, it was, I do try to do a little bit of that, kind of like personal work, or, you know, because the murals, they don't always live forever, right? I'd like to leave behind some things. Some of them will, though.
Yeah.
As far as
a dream big mural is,
I know, I
don't know if Mr. K is gonna get back in that building, or if another business will be there, but I want that building to be preserved, and I don't like destroying things.
And you know, I have to thank the community for taking care of it.
Absolutely,
they're really the keepers of that mural. I can't be there, you know, I can't. But they, you know, like I've had, you know, I had a mural in Atlanta that was tagged, you know, messed up, you know, somebody graffiti. Somebody used their voice on top of my voice, basically. So I just, you know, you always, you know, there's always a risk of that, but it, you know, the community there has really been the keepers of that mural, and they've taken care of it, and I feel like they protect it, and when I can't, so I want to also give a shout out
to Soutel,
to that community.
And I'm gonna give a shout out to Angie Nixon too. She has a bookstore cafe on Soutel as well, and as neighbors, we got to protect the things that we love. And so if you love that mural, keep an eye out on it. I know there's a guy who pops up with a food truck over there. And so it gets seen, and that lot does get some traffic so that people can admire it and appreciate it.
Oh, I love that.
So in addition to the catch and release that's coming,
I did a mural. I was in Gainesville, Georgia. I did a mural there. And then I have a mural coming up in Nashville, which will be my first time traveling to Nashville.
Okay.
But you know, anytime, and I'm working on a few proposals for some more community-based stuff. The one in Nashville it's for a certain part of Nashville, but it's in like a parking garage. It's not a whole lot of public access or anything. But the couple that I'm applying for right now, there's two that I'm applying for right now, and they're really big. And then I have one in my hometown, which is Spencer, North Carolina. And that should be happening in the fall, like late September. So I'm really excited about that. That's going to be a full circle moment for me, to give a mural to where I was born. So that opportunity, when it came up, I was like, okay, I have to get this one because I was born there.
Right.
And I did end up getting it. So
That's good. So tell people where they can find you if they want to request or commission you.
Yeah, and right now I'm in the I don't have my website up, and I'm ashamed about it, but it's been kind of every time I go to work on it, I get a little overwhelmed. But Instagram is kind of the place for me right now. And then email, but my email is on my Instagram. So, and that's my IG, Gina Elizabeth Franco. Yeah, and DM, but also in my bio there is my email address also.
Very cool. So I want y'all to connect with Gina, and I really enjoyed learning more about you. First of all, it has been so fun just talking to you, and you're a good old Southern girl like me, and so I love.
I know. I was like, I don't want to hear this played back because I'll be like, is that what I sound like? Oh,
it's okay. You know, we just gonna be together and be happy with it, and I really do appreciate you revealing more about how you think as an artist and what your process has been like. And I'm going to just hold this in my heart because I did not know that the Dream Big mural was kind of like a catalyst project for you, one of your first big projects. Yeah. And that just makes it all the more special to me.
It was one of those that kind of, I felt like legitimate, whatever the word is, legitimize me, I guess, as like a public art, like I felt a lot more
in your own Southern way.
Yeah, like to me as a public artist. And like and yes, it was definitely all that and more. And like from that, like I was so inspired when I came back. I didn't even want to go back to work. I was like, I don't want to go back to work. I want to keep going. Like I just got just so much from that project. And I went back to work and it was like I felt like I had like was depressed, almost. It was like that.
That's how you know it was your calling.
Yes, I had that post-mural depression, and I was just like, I mean, I love kids. I love teaching. Don't get me wrong. I always said if I ever, maybe in the future, because I am getting older, I'm 43 now, I can't see myself up on these ladders at 60, but you never know. But maybe there will be an opportunity where they kind of come back together, the teaching and the art, in some way. Maybe I'm teaching murals, how to do murals to kids or so, so I wouldn't say I would never teach again, but, yeah, we'll see.
Well, I'm going to make sure that we send people your way because I love your work. I love how you think.
Well, thank you.
And I'm going to make sure that, especially, and I love being an advocate for artists to learn more about how to legitimize their work, how to get paid for their work, and how to
there's a lot more information out there. I'd be happy to share, like I said, if they want to message me on Instagram, if you have like specific questions about like the websites that I use to find my jobs. I have 3 different ones that I use, main ones that I use, and things like that.
I appreciate that.
People DM me all the time, and it doesn't bother me a bit. So,
and we're going to share this with Tracy. With the Renew Community Initiatives. We're going to make sure that she sees this interview too, because again, the artist and the artist patron have to be seen, and her commissioning you to do that.
She gave me a chance, and I mean, like I said, I don't know what my proposal looked like. It wasn't, but she gave me a chance. She was like, okay, you have, like, yes, come on.
Yeah. So love to Tracy. Love to Tracy. Thank you for bringing Gina to us, and I'll make sure we connect.
Tracy.
Get her this interview. But y'all can find Gina Elizabeth Franco on Instagram at Gina Elizabeth Franco. And if you want to connect with her, she says she's more than happy and open to
slide in the DM
or get in the DMs. And I appreciate you, Gina. Thank you for saying yes.
Okay. Thank you for inviting me. Okay.
Yes. And so as we wrap up this conversation, I do want to give everybody an opportunity to see what's coming up with the Moncrief Springs documentary. And Gina, if you're still watching, I want you to check this out too. So hang around so you can see the trailer. The finished product should be ready in the fall, but you can help us make Moncrief Springs a reality. We are still fundraising. And so if you like to get involved by making a financial contribution to Moncrief Springs documentary, Inbox me, DM me, email me, cash out me, whatever it is. Let's make sure that we finish this project, because this project is for you and it's about our city, Jacksonville. And I want people to know that when they invest in the North Side, they invest in Jacksonville. And Moncrief Springs is making sure that people know that when you bring tourism to urban communities, you help protect and preserve Black history. And all of you know that Black history is American history. And so take a look and listen at Moncrief Springs. And I'd love to hear comments and feedback about what you think. Take a look.
Jacksonville owes me nothing. This destination is filled with people who I call Jacksonville giants that make each neighborhood amazing.
We're striving just to stay, not just for Black history, but for history.
What we're overall trying to do, we're trying to put the culture back in agriculture, because a lot of people are not familiar with urban agriculture.
We collect history, we share history, and we want to keep history, because without it, we're lost. We're still considered as the best kept secret in town.
All right, folks. Thank y'all again for being with us. I want to give one more shout out to our sponsors, Black Films Matter. Thank you. I also want to give a shout out to ABC Travel Green Book and Martinique Lewis. All of these sponsors have helped us bring you today's episode. And if you would like to have your brand promoted on our platform, we'd love to connect with you as well. And so you can inbox me or email me at dmmaule@gmail. And that way we can get together and make sure that the things that are important to us have a platform so that everybody can experience it with us. So have a beautiful, wonderful day, and we'll see you next week for our next episode of Moncrief Springs Art and Activism Summer Series.